Before I get started, I have to explain something to you. My name is Furman Miguel, and most of you know I have two surnames. So Furman is a last name, and so is Miguel. I have a new name now. Jose has labeled me Mark Furman. And I had to convince him I do not have the glove. I'm often asked, Furman, what do you do to get in the mood before you speak? And I've deliberated as to whether I should share this secret with you or not. But we're all friends, we're family. I'm going to share with you what it is that I do to get in the mood. Really, I put my earbuds in, and I walked around laughing. People say, why are you laughing? I said, I'm getting in the mood. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, welcome to our abode. My topic is, how many times have you jumped this week? I'm not talking about the jumping where your feet leave the ground and when they land it makes a sound. I'm talking about jumping to conclusions. We tend to jump to conclusions when we don't have all of the facts and it's emotionally based and we arrive at a conclusion that's comfortable for us. When we arrive at a conclusion, we have all of the facts and then we can make a logical decision and arrive at a conclusion. An example of that is getting older. I maintain that I'm not old, that I'm just getting older. But I can't say that for my wife. June is losing her hearing. And that's a sensitive subject to talk to anybody, particularly a woman that you share a household with. And I know I'm from Mars and she's from Venus. So I went to my sister to seek help. My sister Gloria is a registered nurse, and she has given me wise counsel in the past. And what she advised is she said, wait until Chun is busy in the kitchen and get 15 feet behind her and ask her a simple question. And if she doesn't respond, advance 5 feet more and ask the question again and continue on until you get a response. Sunday sleep in the kitchen. Darling, what's for dinner? No response. Sure, what's for dinner? I continued on until I was this close to her ear. And I said, darling, what's for dinner? She said, I told you 5 times, chicken! When we have an accusatory finger pointed at somebody, we tend to have 3 of them pointed back at us. When I first came to Los Angeles, I was civic-minded. When I got married, I wanted to be a part of the community. And I joined a local church. And shortly after joining, I found out that they were close to being bankrupt. The pastor called the congregation together and explained his plight. But he said, Jesus is with us. He says, I was down in the basement and I was looking through every nook and cranny trying to find something that we could auction off and sell. He says, but in the basement I found 1,000 Bibles. And he said, all we need to do is sell these Bibles at $10 a piece and we will be back in the black. But I need some of my top salespeople to volunteer to do this. I was cocky. I volunteered, why not? I had a sales background. A couple of other people volunteered as well. And the pastor said, okay, we're going to, and he noticed somebody in the back was raising their hand. And it was Harold. Harold is the shy person in the congregation, doesn't say much. And the reason for it is he has a speech impediment. Under pressure, he stutters. But he wanted to volunteer to sell these Bibles. And we were about inspiring and encouraging, so we encouraged him. We were going to meet back a week later and see how we did. A week later, we wanted to see what the tally looked like. My envelope had $500. Harold had $1,000 in his envelope. And we were all curious about how and why he was able to sell so many Bibles with his speech impediment. And we wanted him to tell us how he was so successful. And the pastor asked Harold to come up. He said, Harold, how were you able to sell all of these Bibles at $10 a piece? He said, I on the door. And when the people come, I tell them, you can buy this Bible for $10, or I can stand here and read it to you. Don't underestimate him. Harold was able to embrace his weakness and emerge from the shadows. You think it's funny? I don't think it's funny. I like the kind of results that the church gave us as accountability. And it reminds me of this preacher that died and went to heaven. And St. Peter looked at him and frowned as he looked through the book. And he says, okay, you can go, but get that wooden staff and that cloth cloak and proceed to heaven. And the cab driver came up next. And St. Peter looked through the book and was smiling, he was happy, he was pleased with him. He said, pick up a golden staff and that silk cloak and proceed to heaven. And the preacher said, wait a minute, this is a cab driver. I'm a preacher, I've been preaching your word all my life. You give him a golden staff and a silk robe, and you give me wood and a cloth? St. Peter said, here, we base our decision on facts. When you preached, everybody went to sleep. But when that cab driver drove his cab, everybody prayed. That's what we reward for results. Men today are under a tremendous amount of pressure. We don't know what you guys are looking for. I read recently that if you had a beard, you were sexier than guys who didn't have a beard. Guys without the beard said, we can understand that. But what we can't grow a beard. You get at the end of the line. We're confused. We don't know what we got. Well, I was at a workshop, a weekday workshop, and I was with somebody. You know, you get to know somebody after a while. 2-3 days with them, you get friendly. Guy opens the pill box, took out a pill. I said, multiple vitamins? He said, no, Prozac. I said, wait, are you depressed? He says, no. He says, but it's going around. It's an epidemic. 3 people got it in the office 2 weeks ago, and last week my wife came down with it. This is a preventative measure. I don't want it. I said, do you have an extra one? I'm talking about jumping to conclusions. We've been told, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck, quack, quack. Not so. There were 2 good old boys from Kentucky that wanted to put that theory to the test. They dressed up like a cow. They fashioned a costume that was like a cow. One of the fellows was the head and the other one was the tail. And they waited till it was dark and there was a full moon, and then they went down to the corral where the bull was. And they sauntered into the corral. And the bull looked. Somebody was invading his territory. I would have to say, what? The bulls don't see well at